But according to some other sources, you'll hear people say, oh, well, I think the Big 12, they're locked in on Utah. I think the Big 12, they're locked in on Oregon or Washington or Arizona State. But, and I have a really big but, I'm talking about a big but, here's where things start to heat up. This is going to impact college football drastically, and I think most of y'all know that. Wow, man oh man, do we have some more breaking news to talk about in today's video, yet again involving the Big 12. Or shall I say involving the Big 12 trying to steal these Pac-12 teams. Now if you didn't see last night's video, go check that out because you probably need to watch it before watching this one. What do we talk about? Oregon and Washington, they're leaving the Pac-12. I labeled that as a quote-unquote developing story for a reason because it's been developing the past couple of months. Whether Oregon and Washington, they joined the Big 12, I don't know, but from all the sources I've talked to, they're leaving the Pac-12 ASAP. They won't out. And after I posted that video late last night, I went to the gym, had a great workout, and then early this morning at about 6, 7 a.m., started making some phone calls. And I know what you may be sitting there wondering, well, Matt, why are you making phone calls at 6, 7 a.m.? I mean, what's going on? What's that important? Well, my friend, that's a great question, and I have an even better answer. I've been talking to a bunch of different sources, and let's just say the Big 12, they're not done. They are not, and let me repeat this, they are not stopping at Colorado. They want more, and they are fielding options up to what I have heard is up to 6 different teams. Yes, that is right. You heard me correctly. At this current moment in time, the Big 12, Brett Yormark, they are talking to 6 potential new teams to join the conference. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying they're adding 6 more teams, but they're talking to 6 different teams. And you can mark this down. I'm 99.9% confident in this statement. The Big 12 will be adding more teams. Or if not teams, they'll be adding at least one more team, and I'll explain. And oh yeah, by the way, we're not doing no intro, none of that. If you haven't picked up on it, we're jumping straight into it. If you like the content, consider joining our community. If you don't like it, then don't subscribe. It is what it is. I hope all of you had a great Friday. Hope all of you had a great week, and if not, that's okay. I hope this video can make it a little bit better. Let's start the weekend on a good note, starting out with a bang, kick back and relax, and let's just talk about some college football. With that being said, getting back on track here, take a look at this. This is your current Big 12, and I'm going to ask you guys a question. Do you notice anything on this map? Because if not, you should. The one thing you should notice on this map is, yeah, you got some new teams. No, I'm not talking about that. You should notice you only have 13 teams. I said only like it's not a lot, but my point is you got 13 teams. Why is that a problem? Because that's an uneven number. And I'm not saying you can't make it work, but everybody knows this. You don't want an uneven number of teams in a conference. You either do 8, 10, 12, 14, and eventually we may see these mega conferences with 16 and 18. But you never want to have a conference with 9, 11, 13, 15, 17 teams. But at this current moment in time, that is where, without making any more additions, without Oregon, Washington, and another team, that is where we stand. The Big 12 has 13 teams. And what did we talk about on last night's video? The rumors and speculation going on that the Big 12, they're going to go after Oregon, Washington, and Arizona. That put them at 16. So that's good. Nice, even, round number. But check this out. Brett McMurphy, who's one of the most reliable sources in the world, here's what he tweeted out. The Big 12 will add between 1 and 3 schools to join Colorado in 2024, according to sources. We will first see others from Pac-12 to join. If none do so, Big 12 would add one group of 5, UConn, Memphis, San Diego State, or UNLV, to reach even number of teams in 2024. I don't think that's going to be shocking news to anybody, but the one thing I take out of this the most is that if they can't get a Pac-12 team or teams, they're going to go after non-Power 5 teams. As you can see right here, I'll highlight it for you. UConn, Memphis, San Diego State, or UNLV. There's a lot to this. Like I said, if you don't pay attention to everything I say in this video from start to finish, you are going to be lost. Here's what one source had to say. Arizona is the most likely Pac-12 candidate to join Colorado in the Big 12. They also stated Arizona State, Utah, Oregon, and Washington also are possibilities from the Pac-12. So they're thinking Arizona is the most likely one, and I can get down with that. I could easily see the Big 12 just saying, all right, we're going to cut it off at 14. We'll take Arizona and move on with our days. Or move on with our day, however that saying goes. But a different source has also stated this. The dream scenario for the Big 12 would be to get the quote-unquote 4 corner schools. Which, if you don't know who that is, that's Colorado, Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah. So that'd be a big deal because then that'd put them at 16, not 14. Will that happen? I don't know. It depends how much they want Oregon and Washington, and it also really depends how much Oregon and Washington wants to go to the Big 12. That is the unknown. That is the question mark. Because the Big 12, although Oregon and Washington are great teams and programs, they may not want a region that spread out. I hope that makes sense because Oregon and Washington aren't really close to the Big 12. Whereas if you can get the 4 corner schools, that makes a little more sense. And oh yeah, by the way, if you are curious on the Oregon and Washington, if there's an update on them, there's not. It's the same as yesterday. Would the Big 12 love to have them? Yes, but Oregon and Washington have made this evidently clear. They want to join the Big 10, but the Big 10, they haven't really opened up room for them just quite yet. And it's such a tricky situation because Oregon and Washington, they're left out to dry because they don't know if the Big 10 is going to invite them in 1 month or 1 year or 5 years. Let me give you an example and put this into a better perspective so people like me and you can relate. This is one of those situations when you're in middle school and high school and there's this one girl you have a crush on, but unfortunately she's got a boyfriend. You can either A, wait for her and that boyfriend to break up, which could be a week, a month, a year, 5 years, or just go find another fish in the sea. You see what I'm saying? That's where Oregon and Washington are currently at in all of this mess and dilemma. If you are on the Oregon and Washington hype train, here's some news for you. They met with the Big 12 executives last night. Do what you want with that information. Do what you want. But, and I have a really big but, I'm talking about a big but, here's where things start to heat up. Early this number, the Big 12 told all their athletic directors around the league they want 14 teams. That is the number, quote unquote, who wants to be the first to really be a part of the Big 12 now and join us. We've got room for one more. Another source has came out and stated this. National sources are saying that the Big 12 is only going to add one more school during this round of expansion. My understanding is that the Big 12 has been in a deep discussion with Arizona, but there's a sticking point. The Big 12, I'm told, is prepared to move on UConn if Arizona does not make the jump. So according to this said person right here, whether you want to believe them or not, that's up to you. The Big 12, they're locked in on UConn or Arizona. But according to some other sources, you'll hear people say, oh, well, I think the Big 12, they're locked in on Utah. I think the Big 12, they're locked in on Oregon or Washington or Arizona State. You know what I mean? It's just pick your poison at this point. And the great thing about this is all these people with all these opinions, they are legit incredible sources. So it's really just like, okay, you can believe what you want. Somebody on Twitter made this graphic, and if you watch The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, I guess whatever you call it, I can't remember. If you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. This picture is going to make so much sense. The Big 12 is the one girl with the rose, and she has to pick one guy out of like 10. And the guys in this analogy or this example and picture are all the schools in contention. I guess they probably should have edited UConn in here because it seems like the Big 12 wants UConn in. I don't think, and well, here's the thing with this. A lot of people are like, well, why would they go after UConn? Because they're looking at it from a football perspective and standpoint. No. This isn't just a football move. This would also be a basketball move. Because remember, the Big 12 is the best basketball conference in the country. Well, the Big East probably has something to say about that, but the Big 12 is one of the best. At this point in time, though, if I had to bet my house on what I think is going to happen, I think the Big 12 is going to add one more team, and that said team is going to be Arizona. For me, though, if I was a Big 12 fan or I was running this entire show, I don't know why we wouldn't pick up, and I'm saying we as if I'm part of the Big 12, why wouldn't we pick up Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah, get all the four corner teams? I just don't understand why they wouldn't. Maybe 16's a lot, it's too much, and I could see that standpoint and argument. But I'm looking at it from this standpoint. I don't see how picking up Utah and Arizona State would hurt you. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens there. I'm extremely curious. Let me know your thoughts on this down below. I did want to give you guys this update because I think this situation is very interesting, and I think you guys do as well. This is going to impact college football drastically, and I think most of y'all know that. Let me know your thoughts down below. But,